Morning. Thursday. Today is April 16th, and a little quick edition here so you know we're still around. Been a minute since our last episode. It seems like the whole world is on pause right now, and today should be day one of OBC 2020, which has since been postponed until September. So all of the footage I had for you with OBC builds and being on location, just gonna have to wait. Meanwhile, we've been busy here at the shop, business as usual, had a stack of T2 frames to finish up. And rather than showing you the same thing over and over again, had a couple one-off handlebars that I knocked out over the past week, which I'll show you a couple quick videos here in a minute. And then we'll jump into a new shop toy we received since the last episode. Let's go ahead and get things started and see what's happening with Peak Cycles. How about that illustration there, huh? I write notes on my table all the time, like a lot of fabricators do. It's easy access for us while we're working. This basically is going to be a one-off handlebar. This is looking over the top. It's going to run back like this. We're going to run compound bend. It's going to swing out. 5 1/4 inch spacing between the tubes. I'll tell you what the reason is for that here in a minute. 18 inches pullback, 26 inches wide, grip end to grip end. This is a profile. The front of it's going to roll up over like this with a 4-inch rise and then swing out. So that would be this area and then swing out. The reason for the 4 1/4 inch spacing is the client who ordered this has an older Tortuga Springer fork where the fork tubes are actually about 1/4 inch wider than this. So the concept is as these tubes are rising out in this area here, we're trying to give the illusion they're coming out of the fork tubes. The handlebar will be 1 inch, whereas these are 1.5 inches. He has a stem where the offset is going to run the crossbar or the mounting area straight across here. And then we're going to do our best to make it look like the handlebar is coming from the fork tubes. Let's start with that stick right there. I'm going to cut it down to 3 feet based on these numbers here. We're going to run compound bend on the JD squared here. Give it a test run and see where we're at. And so here we have our first attempt at the compound bends. And so you know what you're looking at compared to this illustration here is this stick up over the top is this area here. And then it rolls down right here, which is this. And if you look at it from a profile, that's this. So I already have notes on here. So 1 less N. I know what that means, and basically that's 1 less of these notches here on the JD bender. And what that's going to do is taper this side. Just a little more like this. I'm exaggerating, but that's what I want. This is going too straight up and down for me, so I'm going to do 1 less pull, and it'll taper it out. The other notes I have on here are the measurement of where I started this bend. So when this stick is straight, I'm measuring from the end this way, and it says 18.5 inches. I want to start this bend earlier, so I'm going to start the bend at 19.5 inches, and it'll pull this bend in closer. The reason for that is the overall pullback on this is still much too long. We're trying to get 18 inches from the riser to the grip ends this way. So let's go ahead and give it another shot. And here we go. Much better. So when I left our last take, I had mentioned that I needed to move it up from 18.5 inches to 19.5 inches. I actually moved it up to 21. And the reason for that is I didn't take into account the fact that I wanted to taper this out. So now that we're tapering this out, we're actually making the overall pullback longer. So I needed to measure up even further so that we could start this bend earlier. And I'm going to trim this down here so that the rise is 4 inches. Make ourselves a mounting bar, miter here, duplicate this, and keep it moving. Boom. Big jump in the video. Apologize for that. Sometimes you get on a roll and just can't stop. And that's basically what happened. kept working, and these are pretty much done. Specs wise, what the client asked for, we got 5¼ inch spacing in between. The riser should come out right at his fork tubes, 18 inches pullback, and I went with 28 inches wide, grip end to grip end, so he can shave a couple inches off if he chooses. Let's go ahead and ship these out. Headed to Arizona. So there's that. Pretty cut and dry. Did those for my bro Scott there in Arizona. Gabe, always appreciate the support. Hope those work out for you. As for the illustration on the table, I know it's a little rough and a little primitive, but doing fabrication, it's just really easy to just write notes right there on the table and trace parts for future reference, and I'm sure a lot of fabricators do it. If you're just getting into this, you'll be doing it too. Moving on to the next handlebar. This was done for a very good friend of mine up in Northern California, Wim, and I don't do square tube or diamond tube handlebars that often, which is what I'm going to show you here next, and for good reason. Go ahead and take a look. Don't do square handlebars all that often, but this will all make sense once all said and done. Doing 2 sets. Check back on this in a bit. And yet more pieces. Got all the round cut. And keep it moving. So that is the pre-game for the handlebar I'm about to show you, which is 11 individual pieces of steel. And for me, I create more work than what would be the average, and the more pieces and miters you have, the more movement you can get in a handlebar. So again, I sign up for it. As for the result, very much pleased with those, and like I said, I don't do square tube handlebars or frames that often. As you can see, they're work. And you might ask yourself, well, why don't you just bend it into shape? And the answer to that is that they don't make bending dies for square tubing for reasons of when you are rolling square tubing and you're rolling in the diamond position, that inner seam, if you roll it too tight, will crinkle. And so when you need something really tight, it's just going to fold. So you're forced to miter. There are guys out there that are very natural at this. H.B. Robert, to name one. Anthony at Flying Machine Bikes. And Danny, King Zeba. Those guys kill square tube all day long. For me, I prefer round tube. I just like the freedom of being able to roll and bend tubing into a more organic appearance, so to say. Anyhow, moving on to the new shop toy. Let's take a look at this. Just finished up this frame. This is your frame, Sean. Gonna weld it up tomorrow. Received a little package today. Showed up mid-afternoon. Totally stoked. Excited, a little nervous, because I hate getting packages like this and hoping the content is okay, but let's bust it open. So there we have the new shop toy. Very excited about that. Had quite a few people suggest to me that I should be TIG welding, and it's not a matter of whether or not I've been wanting to do it. There's been a couple reasons why I haven't yet, and one of them being just haven't had time. Been so busy, I've had no time to venture off and learn anything new, and hate using busy as an excuse, but that's just been the case. The other reason is investment. That machine not only cost me a pretty penny, but investing into the other things that you need, that bottle, the gas, holy moly, that wasn't cheap. And then you start picking up filler rod and tungsten and all these other things that you need to get going. But right now, I pretty much have everything to go except power. Wah, wah, wah. I've had my electrician over this past week, and we're shooting for tomorrow or Monday at the latest, and we're getting the shop wired up for 50 amps. So yeah, I'm still at a standstill, but I'm hoping next week I'll be jumping into that. I know I'm not going to be busting out some badass dimes or anything right off the go. I know there's a lot of learning and getting used to, but I'm super looking forward to it. That's pretty much gonna wrap it up. Hope you enjoyed today's version of Cycles. And until next time, make it a killer day.